Rahman Rahim. Mr. President, Excellencies, Head of State, Government and delegations, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government and people of Pakistan, I convey to you, Mr. President, our warm congratulations on your elections to guide the work of this historic session of the UN General Assembly. I'm confident that your vast diplomatic experience and the sunny disposition of your beautiful island country will enable you to steer this assembly to a most successful conclusion. Mr. President, we are meeting at a tense and pivotal moment in modern history. Conflicts rage in Ukraine and in 50 other places around the world. Tensions between the global powers have continued to escalate. We see the rise of new and old military and political blocs. Geopolitics is resurging when geoeconomics should have primacy in the world. The world cannot afford Cold War 2.0. There are far greater challenges confronting humankind which demand global cooperation and collective action. The world's economic prospects also appear gloomy. Global growth is slow. High interest rates could trigger a recession. A succession of exogenous shocks, COVID, conflict, and climate change have devastated the economies of many developing countries. Many countries of the global south have barely managed to stave off defaults. Poverty and hunger have grown, reversing the development gains of 3 decades. At yesterday's SDG summit, far-reaching commitments were made to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. We must ensure implementation of the SDG stimulus, the rechanneling of unused special drawing rights for development banks, and the resolution of the debt problems of the 59 countries in debt distress. Pakistan also looks forward to the fulfillment of the climate change commitments made at COP28 by the developed world to provide over $100 billion in annual climate finance, allocate at least half of such finance for adaptation in developing countries, operationalize the fund and funding arrangements for loss and damage, and accelerate their carbon emission. Mitigation targets to keep alive the goal of restricting global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. Attempts to selectively provide these funds on the basis of geopolitical considerations should be resisted. Mr. President, Pakistan's triple food, fuel, and finance challenge is a prime illustration of the impacts of COVID, conflicts, and climate on developing countries. Pakistan is one of the worst affected countries from the impacts of climate change. The epic floods of last summer submerged a third of our country, killed 1,700, and displaced over 8 million people, destroyed vital infrastructure, and caused over $30 billion in damage to Pakistan's economy. Pakistan is gratified by the commitment of over $10.5 billion for Pakistan's comprehensive plan for recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction with resilience. The 4RF plan at the Geneva conference last January. Specific projects are being submitted to ensure timely funding and execution of the 4RF plan. I hope our development partners will accord priority to allocation of funds for our resilient recovery plan